every week, Duane. This is every week.
We're working out the kinks.
Welcome, everybody. It's Buffalo After Dark for June 20th. And, of course, we've got Big Fresh Matt, Buffalo Bob. Vinny's actually back after having some computer problems last week.
Welcome back, dumbass.
And then, of course, we've got our new guy here, Duane Stanell. Of course, if you've ever listened to WGR, that's where you heard of him. Duane, how you doing?
Hanging in there, guys. I'm glad to be on premiering with you guys here for the first time.
Awesome. And, of course, if anyone wants to listen to Duane's show, he's got a great podcast, Two Goalies, One Mic. Definitely check him out. And, of course, we're going to be featuring him here going forward. So before we get to the Hot Box segment, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about the Gulas and some other random stuff tonight. Bobby, what's your sponsor tonight? Because I know you've got one.
Tonight's sponsor is brought to you by Smart Food White Cheddar Popcorn, the popcorn that does not taste like shit.
Nice.
Sounds pretty good. All right, but let's get to the Hot Box. Of course, we all know about the dumpster fire over at 1 Seymour H. Knox Fifth Third Plaza. And Jason Botterill got fired by the Pagulas this week. Kim decided to go on the power trip along with Terry. They basically said that, oh, you're not doing enough to cut the budget. So let's get rid of everybody. Then on top of that, they fired all the Amerks coaching staff, which was totally screwed up. And even on top of that, they decided to fire the Sabres IT guy before they realized they need an IT guy.
Yay! Classic Sabres move.
That's
It's like the
one
cherry
move
on top.
So, Duane, no
Could you imagine being that guy, getting a phone call, getting canned and maybe, driving home, wherever home is, if it's not in Buffalo, and then getting halfway there, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, we made a mistake, you're not fired. Unbelievable. This fucking organization.
They're brutal. And apparently it was so bad to the point that apparently the Pagulas decided, and the Sabres actually decided to force WGR to remove some tweets. And then, of course, WGR would not let Duane on the air again. What was up with that?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I will give it the benefit of the doubt that they are doing everything on location right now, so maybe it's a little bit more difficult especially. And I will say it was a busy day for Buffalo Sports Radio because of what had just happened, and so I'd imagine the phone lines are pretty busy. But I will say this: I've been calling that station for 10 years, and never once has my call been dropped while on hold. Once, let alone it was dropped twice. And I was on hold for about 2 hours total time, which has never happened to me before. Usually the longest I've ever had to wait to get on the air is like 20, 25 minutes tops. So I'm not going to say, I'm assuming when I said Duane from Tonawanda, when they asked me, I was honest about it, that maybe they weren't very thrilled to get me on the air because of what was going on in Sabres land at the time. But my guess is if it was intentional, they dropped my calls purposely to put me at the back of the queue twice, so I'd have to wait longer to get on the air. So, again, that's if you're a conspiracy theorist. I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt, but I just find it hard to believe that the first time I call in afterwards, I'm on hold for 2 hours. So.
Right. Yeah, and even like when I've called in on WGR in the past also, usually, like you said, like 20, 25 minutes max. I think maybe once it was like 30 minutes. I haven't called the station in a long time, but it's one of those. Usually, I haven't had to really wait too long. God, I remember when Dickerson and our Wander were still on the air over there, and I would talk to them every so often. But it was seriously a big train wreck. So, of course, we all know Botterill's gone. A lot of us wanted him gone. At least he's gone. And I know, Bob, you are loving the fact that he was gone because apparently here's a little pattern that I've noticed. You ever notice that whenever they say that a GM or a coach is going to be staying with the organization, you ever notice how it's always 3 weeks later that they get fired?
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny, too. Listen, I didn't get Botterill fired, okay? They did it themselves. But, Duane, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. No, I'm not going to call you Duane. I'm going to call you fucking Jesus, okay?
Yeah, Duane's fine. Duane's fine.
All right, Jesus.
All right.
Anyway, did anybody tell you the story of what we were saying on our show a couple weeks ago about how I got Phil Huntley fired?
You got Botterill fired?
No, not Botterill. Phil Housley.
You got Phil Housley fired? How'd you get Phil Housley fired?
Oh God. Okay. Quick rundown. So we told the story a couple weeks ago. So we'll tell it again real quick for you. And I didn't get big like you did on the call on WGR. I got locally famous, and Buffalo News called me out for it. But anyway, Mike Harrington specifically. But anyway, so last spring, it was like late March. Tom came to visit me on Long Island, and the next thing you know, I told him, dude, we got to send our voice out to the Sabres. And I had a TV's plan at the time, and I bought signboards or cardboard or whatever, and got Sharpie markers or whatever, and I wrote Fire Housley. And at the day of the game, I brought that sign into the Coliseum, and I put it up against the boards where the players were practicing, just warming up or whatever, and they see me, and I'm just like this, not giving a fuck. And the next thing you know, I was like, nope, fuck you. And the next thing you know, the players are starting to laugh, and Evan Rodriguez, who we met earlier along with Jason Botterill,
he was laughing his ass off in the bench.
yeah, he was laughing his ass off. And so Mike Harrington gets notes of this, and he sees me. He takes a picture of me, and I'm just standing there like, you know what? Go ahead, Buffalo Media. I don't care. And the next thing you know, it says on the headline of Buffalo News, it said something like, oh, look at this. A fan wearing a Sabres jersey is holding up a sign that says, Fire Housley. And I got so much shit for it. I got a lot of blackmail for it.
And even better than they had Swedish media covering Rasmus Dahlin because it was his first season over there, and basically what ends up happening is then he ends up on like a Swedish media newspaper or something, or some tweet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. I mean, why? I don't understand why people would be angry. It's not like Housley was doing a good job and nobody wanted him fired.
That's the point of the whole agenda, because everybody wanted him gone. It's like hiring fucking Chip Kelly to be the head coach, and yet
it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like you're gonna take hate no matter what. Like I like for a while, I never directly called out Botterill to be fired. Like I was willing to give the guy a chance with the upcoming free agency period with a lot more money to spend. But I really lost all my faith and started to call for him to be fired when he sat into a live microphone at the trade deadline that the deals for Wayne Simmons and Dominic Cahoon were actually on the table well before the deadline. And I said, but he felt comfortable with the roster he had, and that's why he never pulled the trigger. And I said, well, what the fuck about this roster made you feel comfortable that you didn't need to make a deal that would have been an upgrade? I mean, granted, it's Wayne Simmons. It's not a huge splash, but he's still better than half the trash you had on your roster to begin with.
Exactly. And at least he's not afraid to throw the gloves if he needs to.
That, I mean, and then Dominic Cahoon a lot of people were pissed off in Pittsburgh when they lost him. He's a blue chip young player, and I'm excited to see him play. I hope they don't force him to play center and let him sit on the wing where he should be. But, we'll see what happens here, man. A lot of money here to spend in free agency. I hope they let a lot of these guys who have been on this roster and have been losing for years, I hope he let them walk. But, we'll see. The only other bright spot, offensively this team had was probably the log line. If for whatever reason you have to bring them back, it better be not be for more than $1 million, $1.5 million a piece on a 1 year or 2 year deal. Like that'd be anything more than that. Let them walk. Yeah. Like let them go find somewhere else to play. Like there's no point in it. And like I don't care, what they bring to the table, whether they're blue collar, hardworking players or they bring grit. I don't really give a shit, man. Like I'm sick and tired of hearing certain Buffalo radio personalities talk about grit and jam. Like, no, you need talent. You need a bat. Lack of grit and jam isn't the reason why we didn't make the playoffs here. It was the fact that after Jack Eichel and after your first line, the scoring on this hockey team was virtually non-existent. That's the reason why you didn't make playoffs this year.
Yeah, very true. And then even like thinking about some of the other things too. I mean, defensively, it could be worse, but at least it's not as bad as what we've seen. But same thing. If you have zero scoring on your second line, your third line, and your fourth line, how the hell are you going to win games? You're not going to.
Now here's what I know. Yeah, sorry, Dwayne. What were you gonna
No,
say?
I think like you had you might have had two defensemen in top 5 in scoring on your roster. And I think I would say I mean I'd have to again, this is just me thinking off the top of my head, because after Eichel, Reinhart had 50 points this season. After those two, I'd venture to say Dahlin was up there. Dahlin was definitely in the top 5 in scoring.
Right.
And maybe Ristolainen, and that's sad. That's sad, not Dahlin, but the fact that Ristolainen's top 5 in scoring for you is kind of sad to me. Like, I especially when you're paying Jeff Skinner $9 million a year to play on your hockey team.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And I think one theory I have behind the whole Jeff Skinner thing was you have to look at it from common ground. The first obvious choice is the fact that because he had so much success with Eichel in his first year, they figure, hey, we don't want this shiny new toy that we got for Jack about a year ago go walking for nothing, considering that they weren't going to trade him. And then everybody was just like, hey, we got to sign this guy. And here's the really interesting thing I found out is Jason Botterill didn't want to sign him or Jack Eichel to their long-term deals, but the Pagulas of all people, a bunch of gold-digging twats, decides, okay, we're going to force Bots to sign these guys to contracts and have them play out their careers or whatever. And it was just a big clusterfuck from there. And then next thing you know, the whole purpose of them having Skinner playing with Eichel was the main reason why they made the trade. But then they have him play with guys like Connor Sheary and Rodriguez,
Connor Sheary and Rodriguez, yep.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, like the bitch of it is I get why Skinner didn't play with Eichel last year. I get that you have to try and find a way to get scoring from other places. And if you're gonna break somebody off that first line, it probably should have been Skinner, because I mean Jack and Sam have always had a sustained success together. But I mean Sam has also proven that he can drive his own line from the wing. I mean analytics prove it. But Jeff Skinner has never been a 40 goal scorer up until he played with Jack Eichel. So I thought maybe at certain points this past season when you really needed to start piling points and streaking some games together, or however you want to word it, that you should have just put that line of Skinner, Rhino, and Jack back together. You just add to it, and the very few times they did it, it was just too little, too late.
For sure.
I totally agree with that. And then on top of that, what ends up happening this week is that, of course, the Rochester Americans coaching staff was fired. So, of course, people like Chris Taylor, Gord Janine. I almost have to think, in that sense, I mean, you have an AHL team that's actually doing okay. They're winning games. I mean, they're in there. But I'm like, why would you clean house on a team that's actually being decent?
The only winning coach this ownership has had in the last decade is Chris Taylor.
Yeah, and that's pretty sad too. I mean,
it is,
especially
in a decade,
over 9 years. Yeah, over 9 years.
And on top of that, I don't buy into the fucking excuse they gave either. This is all money. I feel like this is all money motivated, which is sad because it's an AHL coach.
Right.
They said that Chris Taylor wasn't going to follow the vision that they had for Rochester, which is it's going to be a place for developing young talent, not as much as like winning games, in terms of having veterans down there, keeping talent down there to make the team successful, rather than when they're I'm not sure exactly how they worded it, but I mean, last time I checked, I mean, me playing most of my life and, coaching for the last 9 years is winning is part of development. Like you can't develop properly unless you're brought up honestly in a winning culture or a positive culture. Ask Rasmus Ristolainen how losing for his entire career, even before he was with the Sabres in Rochester before that, like he's been losing for a long time and, growing in a losing culture. Ask him how that's gone for him, because analytically he's one of the worst players in the NHL.
Here, let me ask it for you. Rasmus, how's those 7 years been going out for you? It's working out really fucking well.
Yeah, right.
Bobby, you're hilarious.
Oh.
I can't help but laugh. Just you got this whole sideshow going on. I'm just looking at you, dying laughing.
Yeah, right.
Right. So then on
What
top
else
of
you got
that,
for tonight?
besides the dumpster fire that they had with the Sabres and the Amerks, of course now they have to redo part of the Harbor Center because their HVAC didn't work properly and they didn't melt the ice
Yeah.
properly. So now you got all new
Yeah.
boards having to go in.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is Steve.
You would also think that the Pagulos would take advantage of all this downtime where they can't have events at the arena for the foreseeable future. You think they would take advantage of this time and do a lot of renovating in the arena because it's very, very badly needed. Seeing as they're still using the same seats and cushions that they had when they opened that arena. You think they would just try and pump some money into the Sabres like they do the Bills.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But that's not going to happen. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, the seats need to be redone. The concourses need to be redone. Scoreboard, I've seen it black out several times when I've been there. I mean,
it's sad. It's sad. We have one of the worst game experiences in the entire league, and that's not opinion. That's fact.
Yeah, it is a true fact because, I mean, there's been times I've almost caught myself sleeping at a game because of the fact that it is so damn boring. Not only the product on the ice sucks, but the actual in-game entertainment sucks. I mean, you go to something like Pittsburgh or Vegas or
you got DJ Milk.
They've got
DJ Milk. He's there to entertain you guys.
Yeah. It's like DJ Milk.
No.
He's like a nobody.
Yeah, and not even just that. I don't know. I just can't. I mean, I remember growing up as a kid, I didn't need all like a DJ, just the music. The music itself they play sucks. It's just, I mean, granted, winning fixes everything, guys. Winning does fix everything.
Very true.
But
true.
I part of the reason I fell in love with hockey and the Sabres is like the personal experience, the personal experiences outside of just the team, outside of watching the game that I gained through going to like Sabres carnivals and, meeting the players, how friendly, not just how friendly they were, but how personable they were, just all these extra things that the previous ownership groups would do that the Pagulas just can care less about doing.
Right. Yeah. And even when it comes to addressing the fans, Pagulas are non-existent. They don't give a crap.
That Zoom call was the first time we've seen Terry Pegula speak to the media in at least a year.
Yeah, I would almost say closer to 2 because, I mean, it's like, I can't even remember the last time he talked to anybody. I mean, and even with the Bills, he doesn't talk to the media. It's always Kim.
No. I thought it was hilarious that the first 10, I think it was like the first at least 8 questions in a row, nobody gave a shit about Kevin Adams. Nobody gave a fuck. And Mike Harrington went for the fucking jugular.
Oh yeah,
with Kim Pegula went for the jugular, and I was there for it, baby. I was fully erect on that one.
And I gotta say, as much as I don't like Harrington in a lot of ways, I am glad he asked that question about. Well, you've gone through so many GMs, you've gone through so many coaches. What makes you think you're capable of running a team without president of hockey operations? And she was dumbfounded. She had no answer.
Oh, she didn't see that coming. As dumb as you think she would have, Well, I was like, wow, this is the first time I'm going to be asked questions by the media. They were probably dumb enough to think that people have actually been more interested to talk to Kevin Adams. Fuck no. We want to talk to the 2 people that have been ruining this fucking organization for a decade now.
Exactly.
No, fuck that. No. We
right.
want to answer, oh, God, man. Like, I wish I could have high-fived Mike after answering that question. Dude. I said, he had me 6 to midnight on that one, man. I fucking loved every second of it. It was amazing.
Same here. And I love the fact that when he asked that question, he proved that the Pagulas had zero accountability on the Sabres.
Not one bit.
They kept blaming everything on lack of communication. That's why lack of communication.
They did with Housley and Bielsa.
It had nothing to do with lack of communication, man. That had to do everything that had to do is just them having their fingers too much on the product. And I don't know if you know who this guy is. I won't call him out. There's the guy on Twitter who seems to believe that Kim Pegula has no say in hockey decisions. Get the fuck out of here!
It's all
telling me Kim has control of power of everything.
You're telling me the owners of the team had zero say in the trade of Ryan O'Reilly. Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah.
No way!
Yeah.
No way! There's no way. judging from everything that we've seen happen in the last 6 months financially with this team, I wouldn't be surprised if they pushed to have him traded because they didn't want to pay him that bonus.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly
I
what
wouldn't be surprised.
I would be surprised. That was exactly what was said when I first heard the rumors that he didn't want to be here. The minute he said, it's okay, we were okay with losing, I lost my passion for the game, I knew exactly at that moment everybody hated Ryan O'Reilly.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was happy he was gone. And then a year later, he wins the cup, and then the details came out and said they didn't want to pay for the $7 million bonus or whatever the number was.
And then on top of it, the return he got for him was zero.
Basically.
It was like I tweeted out. It was equivalent to an N64, a used pair of Jordans, and a bottle of Tabasco.
Right.
That's what we got for Ryan O'Reilly.
And basically, when Chicago and ended up trading Dominic Hasek to us back in '92 for nothing. I mean,
no, that was the no.
Oh, that's probably the worst.
Ryan O'Reilly trade in terms of result was the worst trade in NHL history because it resulted in St. Louis winning a cup and Ryan O'Reilly winning a Conn Smythe and a Selke trophy, and Buffalo virtually got nothing from it. They're like you can say what you want about Tage Thompson, and I forget that defenseman they took at the end of the draft, but I mean, neither of those guys are going to equate to what Ryan O'Reilly could have done for this team and what he ended up doing for St. Louis.
Yeah, 100% agree with you.
So. Worst trade in NHL history, hands down.
Yeah. Could you imagine they screwed up the hiring of McDermott and Bean? Like, Sean and Vinny, we would not be hearing the end of them as far as the Bills were concerned.
They got lucky. We got lucky.
They absolutely did.
I will, and honestly, I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill that we got lucky with McDermott and Bean because at the end of the day, they weren't sexy hires. They were safe, cheap hires. At the end of the day, if the Bills don't hire Sean McDermott probably isn't a head coach that year. At least that year, he isn't. He probably doesn't get a job as a head coach. He wasn't extremely sought after. He wasn't at the top of people's lists. He was a safe, cheap hire in comparison to what they had with Rex Ryan the couple years before.
Yeah, we definitely got maximum value on that.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But to sit here and give Terry and Kim Pagula all this credit for their genius move at bringing in Sean McDermott and then McDermott bringing in B. Get the fuck out of here, acting like they knew that this was gonna happen. No way. No way.
I doubt it.
No way.
I
no
doubt it.
fucking way.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna give them any credit. And I said this earlier, man. We got lucky that first year. We went 9-7, and Andy Dalton helped lead us to our first playoff appearance.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, we luck into the easiest schedule on paper in the entire league. And then before the season even starts, Andrew Luck retires.
Right.
I mean, granted, we didn't have to pay him, but that's still an elite quarterback in the AFC that you don't have to worry about, and a team you don't have to worry about anymore in the Colts. Big Ben down for the season.
Right.
Another gift. You had to play against Duck Hodges. You clinched a playoff berth in primetime against Duck Hodges, who threw 4 interceptions. And what did we do with those 4 interceptions? I think on 4 interceptions we got 3 points. We capitalized and got a field goal.
Yeah.
We beat them 17-10. So tell me how. Okay, the quarterbacks we played: Duck Hodges, Darnold twice, Brandon Allen in Denver, Mayfield. I mean, Mayfield had a terrible second season.
Fitzpatrick.
Mariota, Fitzpatrick twice. Eli Manning.
Right.
We had him. All these quarterbacks that we had to play against outside of Lamar and Dak. I'm sorry, Brady was garbage last year in comparison when he played like doo-doo against us. So, what quarterbacks did we play against that were supposed outside of Lamar and Dak that were supposed to scare?
They played Dak and they played Kirk Cousins about a year ago. You forgot about that, did you?
Yeah, but Dak went 8-8. It's not like the Cowboys were a great team last year. He went 8-8.
Well,
We didn't beat a single team last year with a winning record.
Yeah, but that still doesn't matter. I mean, you still got to win the games on your schedule. So that's still a tough thing to do. And I mean, regardless of what quarterbacks you play in the NFL, you got to be a complete team to win football games. So I don't really buy the whole we had an easy schedule last year. I mean, it was fairly easy, but this year will show
Easiest in the league. Easiest in the league.
We've had in a while.
This year will show the difference, I think, a little bit. I mean, I think we're still at 10, 11 wins. Granted, we have a season, but they're really progressing. So you still got to win the games.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. Brandon Beane has made some great moves.
And as far as as far as the Pagula's involvement in the Bills, I really could care less. As long as Sean McDermott's fired up, he gets these guys ready. Really, I think that's all that matters. You know what I mean? And he's the one that's done a great job as far as taking control of the team, because he did start off as kind of a question mark, but he whether it was support from the Pagulas or was just him with Beane, you know, their cohesiveness is insane. So I just think all together they're really coming together, and you're going to see it probably this year as a full complete team. And it'll be the true test, because we do got tougher games, but we're also a better team. We can't forget that. We can't focus on the negatives. We're a better football team. Period.
I agree.
It doesn't matter what Dak's doing. You know, I mean, if you're not playing good against the Bills that day, you're not playing good against them. And to play in Dallas on Thursday night, Thanksgiving, and to go beat them, that in itself.
That says a lot.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, it's not a matter of how shitty Dak is or how good the whatever pieces they got. It's going in there and beating them. That right there in the NFL is just tough to do, period. So the Bills showed, and what were they, 9-3 after that? So yeah, you better win those easy games, but they did it, and they did it in a convincing type of fashion. They weren't like games of the previous where you're like, oh, maybe we'll win this game. Oh, maybe we'll win. We have control of these games, period. And and they're definitely going to progress with that. And I think Allen and the key acquisition, of course, was Stephon Diggs. So you're going to see an elite AFC team this year, top 3, top 4 Buffalo Bills. And if the time isn't now, when is it? Now's the time, in my opinion. It is. No, people in Buffalo got to understand. They got to wash away the old shit. This is new Buffalo Bills football. Period. Yep. Zach Moss, Singletary, Stephon Diggs, Smoke in his true position, Beasley in his true position. I mean, the offensive line and the defense, top defense, probably top 1-2 this year for sure. And Tre'Davious is probably he should get the best cornerback.
Depending on what happens with that, it also depends on at Oliver. We all forgot what happened with him.
At Oliver,
right? And then you have Harrison Phillips coming back too from the AC.
Yeah, we got here.
Yeah.
No. Well,
that's huge.
But what I'm saying is he could be facing like a 4-game suspension. He was caught.
Oh yeah,
DUI with a gun.
Yeah.
But see, that's why I love Beane and McDermott, because they got that under wraps. Missing that Oliver won't be like it was 3 years ago when you have Mario Williams. Remember that? I mean, I think back to that time, and I'm like, that's all we had.
Mario Williams.
We were excited about him getting off a plane and him being elite, and he was the only thing we could really look at. Now it's way different. Ed Oliver being suspended, fine. We'll bring a guy in. We got the atmosphere where they'll fill that position. So we don't. Yep. What I'm saying is we now more than ever have spots we can kind of sacrifice slacking a little bit because we're so together. So
and Vinny,
I just think it's time for Buffalo to start changing their mindset on the Bills. You know, like the Chiefs game in Buffalo. I mean, really, we should win that game, and maybe people afterwards will go, "Ha ha! I told you it's a tough schedule. We lose," but. I don't think it's just going to be a game where we get walked over. That's a game right there, you know, that could really set things off. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm pumped.
Well, my point, the point I was making, I wasn't saying that I wasn't a believer in what Beane and McDermott are doing. I am a believer in what Beane and McDermott are doing.
Right.
But what I said about what I said goes back to the hires of them just in general. Is everybody keeps giving them this crazy amount of credit for this. Like it was some sexy hire. It was ended up being the right hire, but don't
it's sexy now.
It's sexy now. But don't try and compare apples to oranges when it comes to the Sabres and the Bills. because you can tell they're very hands off with the Bills. They let football people make football decisions, whereas with the Sabres, they're not doing that. Their fingers are more in the pot. And in the NHL, there's more room for error. You have an 82 game season. So if you streak together 3 or 4 bad games in a row, you can come back. In the NFL, you can't do that. You lose 3 games in a row, you're fucked.
Oh, yeah.
But also in the NFL, scheduling, the way they lay out the schedule every year is so different. How often are you going to see Drew Brees every you're not going to see him every year. You may see once every 4 years. Is that how, Aaron Rodgers? You're not half of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, you might not see for anywhere between 1 to 4 or 5 years, however long it is. When's the last time we saw Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, it's been several years. I mean, same thing with Russell Wilson and a lot of teams.
Exactly. And those, and with all of that being said, again, as I said earlier, on paper we had legitimately the easiest schedule in the league, and we also had the benefit of having to deal with injuries. Yes, we did have to win those games, and we did win them convincingly. But again, I'm not going to sit here and I know we want to get out of that mindset, but I'm not going to sit here and give all this credit in the world to Terry and Kim Pegula for this hire until they really prove their worth. And this next season is when they do it, because hypothetically, in my opinion, if you take last year's roster and you give it a tougher schedule like next season's, you're probably looking at an 8-18.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I just focus on McDermott and Bean, whatever about credit to the Pagulas, but they're really that's who I'm looking at. They're hands on with the team. They're more and the Pagulas, they're more hockey people anyway, so it kind of makes sense. You guys know that they came, you know what I mean? They've been Sabres fans forever, so that's their baby. They kind of feel like they can handle that on their own from the outside looking in. So it's like they gotta let go of that, They just gotta get let go of it.
In my opinion, ownership having their hands in the pot is the worst thing in the world. Case in point, look at Jerry Jones in Dallas.
Right.
Like Jerry Jones has his fingers weighed. Like he should not be the GM of that team. Like he is too invested into the building of that roster.
Why don't
I don't know.
Have hockey operations? Why don't they just do that? If that's the thing, why aren't they doing it?
Well, I think they're so butthurt over Ted Black and Pat LaFontaine, and it's like the same. They probably figured, we can't trust these people. Well, first off, LaFontaine, whatever happened with him, he just quit and went, and then there was some type of settlement. But then at the same time, I mean, you had Ted Black, then they fired him. They're like, we're just going to give the GM all the power. Well, the problem is, I mean, they knew coming in that they weren't hockey people. They didn't know how everything worked. And then all of a sudden, once they get rid of Ted Black, it's like, we're just going to take control of everything now. And it's like, you haven't learned anything in 9+ years.
No, they haven't. And that's the whole point I was trying to make is first off, comparing both entities is just, again, apples
to totally separate thing.
And to sit here and I guess the point I was trying to get at is the people who come at me. Again, I'm a very passionate Bills fan. I travel the country to watch them play. We try and do one game a year. I used to have season tickets too. And it's just when I see when I'm again this week I made a comment about when Craig Button went on record and said that if Kevin Adams ends up being the right guy, it's not the credit pretty much shouldn't go to the Pagulas for making the hire. They just got lucky. And I quote tweeted and said, kind of like the Bills, because they did get lucky. They got lucky that those hires worked because they didn't hire them on the sexiness of the coach and the GM. They hired them because they were safe and they were cheap. Mm-hmm. Unlike Rex Ryan, who was not safe and not cheap. So exactly. That's pretty much the point I was trying to get across is just to compare those two entities is just again apples and oranges. I like I said I would love for them to finally just bring in a real president of hockey operations like a John Davidson or a Burke, somebody like that who can really run a hockey team, has experience running hockey, like a Brendan Shanahan. Yeah. But for some reason they have this foolish pride where they, after he annihilated a Sabres legend, and you still haven't heard from him since he signed his non-disclosure agreement and walked out the door, in Pal Fontaine, and they just and then Russ Brandon got the boot for apparently doing whatever he was doing behind closed doors in the offices, but that was ridiculous too. The fact that they brought Russ Brandon in to run some of those aspects of the Sabres.
What was up?
So hey, you're doing this well with the Bills. Let's give you the added responsibility of a sport you know nothing about.
Yeah,
kind of
like an alternate governor on top of it.
Yeah, it just made no sense, and it's just bad business decision after bad business decision. And you know what? Granted, she's only been in this position for a little over 2 years. But if Kim Pegula did not own the Buffalo Sabres, she would have been fired by now.
Yeah,
100%.
I honestly didn't know. I honestly didn't know they were really that bad. I mean, you guys opened my eyes.
It's
to
bad.
That,
it's really bad, man.
Yeah,
really bad.
All right, you know who Ryan O'Reilly was, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Our second line center, the guy was a 60-point scorer on a very bad hockey team. We traded it away for garbage. We traded it away for garbage because of something he said at the end of the season, where the media in this city, and that's who I blame. I blame the media. Spun it into something it wasn't. It was just a guy being brutally honest, a guy being asked how he felt about the direction of the team and where it's going. And he had a moment of brutal honesty. He's like, I'm miserable. I lost my passion to play this game. You're going to tell me every single player in that locker room did not feel the same exact way? He was just willing to be vocal about it. And then you turn it into something it wasn't. Oh, he doesn't want to be here. He's got problems with Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel traveled to Game 7 as his friend to watch him lift the Stanley Cup with St. Louis. You're telling me that there were problems between those two? Fuck no, there wasn't. It was something that Paul Hamilton's fat ass created in the media, and I hate that guy so much.
Oh my God, I agree with you 100%.
He is the
thing over at the Coliseum too.
Softest person in all of sports media. I swear to God, he is the absolute worst. I don't understand how that guy is the beat reporter for the Sabres. Blows my fucking mind.
Greatest out of anybody, and I cannot stand him. I've never liked him. I never will like him. It is a reporter. He just sucks.
Oh, wait,
he sucks.
Here's my favorite part. If you comment in Paul Hamilton's Twitter account, like if you say anything negative, like even if you say simply something like the word shit or ass in a comment section, he'll come up and be like, language, please. Like, okay, Captain America. And that's
please watch your language. He blocked me for saying hell when I was disagreeing with him about Victor Antipin. When they brought Victor Antipin over from the KHL to play here, guy who doesn't speak a lick of English and played on a bigger ice surface, you brought him to the NHL to play on a smaller ice surface on a team where they don't have a single Russian player who knows the language. So you're just dealing with the culture shock in itself coming here. Mm-hmm. And then what's he supposed to do in practice when he doesn't understand something that Phil Housley's saying? Or, was it if it was Housley or Biles? But what's he supposed to do? Raise his hand and, try and understand English?
Right.
It doesn't work. And then you put this guy up in the press box for half the season, and I flat out said he didn't get a fair shake here. I listed all those reasons why. He was the best defenseman in the KHL. And you're going to tell me that guy couldn't figure it out here because he was just bad? No. You didn't give him the tools to succeed here because when Dmitry Kalinin came, when Maxim Afedogorov came to Buffalo, he had Lexi Zhitnik on the team. When Dmitry Kalinin came to Buffalo, he had Max on the team. Somebody to help him understand the culture and the language, and understand North American hockey. And I disagree with him, and I dropped the word hell on his Twitter feed, and he just straight up blocked me. You got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me. That guy is a joke, an absolute joke. And he is the reason why that Ryan O'Reilly thing got so out of hand, because he would go on WGR whenever they would bring him on, and he would always bring it up. And, of course, people listen to that show, and they listen to what he says, and then they put their own spin on it and their own narrative on it. 150%, dude. I will die on that hill, too. If it wasn't for Paul Hamilton, I really, truly believe, if it wasn't for financial reasons, Ryan O'Reilly would still be a Sabre.
I agree, 100%.
Absolutely.
But no one will ever really put the blame on him. So.
Right.
And everybody, and it's funny, and it's very interesting too, because I remember when that story came out. I even remember at one point, and people were really very like. I'm trying to put this in good perspective. Like, somebody actually found evidence of Ryan O'Reilly being the biggest douchebag towards Jack Eichel in their first or second season together. I don't know if it was just a thing for them together or what. I made a video about 2 years ago. I don't know what I did with it now. It might be on my channel. I have to look. But the narrative of the video I said was that Jack Eichel was trying to say, good job, high five, whatever, like any team.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah, of course they did. And so,
they did that on purpose. They were fucking with the media. That was all done on purpose by Jack and Ryan.
No. Here's what I was going to say. And the next thing you know, here comes Ryan O'Reilly. And I think they were playing Calgary. And the next thing you know, here comes Ryan O'Reilly. Jack Eichel's trying to wait for him. And then he just swings right past by him like nothing happened, like he was just part of the wall. Like, that's basically the feuding that most people got the interpretation of the rivalry, if you will, between Ryan O'Reilly and Jack Eichel. And another rumor I heard was when they were debating on who the captain was going to be, they gave it to Jack Eichel over Ryan O'Reilly. And Ryan O'Reilly, from what I heard, was not very happy about it. And he was almost at the point where he wanted to go out of Buffalo even before, the whole I lost my passion thing.
No, it was Matt Barnaby. Matt Barnaby had on Mike Harrington on his podcast, and Mike Harrington spoke of a time when he actually face-to-face spoke to Ryan O'Reilly's father, and O'Reilly's father flat out said that they didn't want him. He didn't want to leave Buffalo, and they didn't want him to leave Buffalo because of how close he was to home. That's straight from Ryan O'Reilly's own father.
Well, congratulations, Vinny and Sean. You have now just learned the biggest pieces of shit all around the ice.
I guess so.
Apparently.
So it's it's just facts, man. Like, there's so much wrong with this organization, and to still not figure out the second most important position on your team at the second line center position in 2 years since you lost Ryan O'Reilly, it's just the onus isn't just on the GM, that's on Kim Pegula too. So, my opinion. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. And,
yeah.
and then even on top of that too, now there was a quick report that came out where there was the rumor going around that Kevin Adams might want to try and bring Rick Dudley back in the organization.
I like that move.
I like that.
That would be literally the best.
He's a good hockey mind.
Yeah,
he's a great hockey mind.
It's actually interesting because I was actually supposed to ask Clint Malarchuk to have him reach out to Rick Dudley for an interview, but I never got back to him. And another thing I heard too regarding the head coaching position at Rochester is I heard two names, Matt Ellis and Adam Mayer. Those two guys are being brought up as the front runner for the Rochester American head coaching position, which I would much rather have Adam Mayer because at least he has some sort of experience within the coaching department as far as a developmental scout or something like that. And with the Sabres. And I find it funny, too, how we're all in this round table together talking about the Sabres, and then yet we're completely missing out on the biggest, story, aside from Botterill, was the fact that they fired 22 scouts in 24 fucking hours. What fucking purge did I get into here?
Well, here, there's two sides of this fence. The scouting department should have been purged a long time ago because they've been drafting terribly for years. Straight up, like, they've been drafting terribly for years. Like, there's no debating that. It's been bad. You see first round picks that don't hit, kind of like Casey Middlestat. I think that's in part because of development. You even go back as far as when they took Zadorov and Ristolainen in the first round, and you look at all the players they passed up on. Like, me and Cully did an episode on this of their draft history, most specifically focusing on the first couple rounds,
right,
and it would absolutely sicken you to your stomach the players they passed up on for guys like Miguel Grigorenko, Nikita Zadorov, Rasmus Ristolainen, and you see who was left on the table and what they could have done for this franchise. Insane. So I agree that the scouting department needed a change, and it's been needed a change for a while. But on the other side of that coin, you have a first-time GM who literally has no experience, not like literally no experience on the sports,
even worse
on the sports side of it, on the business side, on the sports side. And now you've given him nothing to work from. Like, unless you truly go to the video scouting side of things, like, you have nothing to work from. All the work these scouts have been doing, it's gone now. And he's going into his first draft with like none of that.
Right. You're starting from scratch.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope we end up. I mean, I hope we win the lottery, and you're taking either Lafreniere or Byfield. Personally, I want Byfield. He's younger and bigger, and I think he has a higher ceiling. But we'll see. I just don't understand. I don't know. It's just, and the whole Chris Taylor thing being fired too.
Right.
The reasoning behind that drove me nuts. Saying that did I mention this already about his vision, about the reason they fired because it was his vision for the team didn't match their vision for Rochester.
What?
And they said one of the reasons was that Chris Taylor's vision for Rochester didn't match the Pagulas, and the Pagulas and see Rochester as being more of a developmental team rather than a team that's sole purpose is to win games. Meaning that maybe you would bring in veterans to help the team along, whereas they just want to use it from a strictly developmental standpoint. Well, the last time I checked, winning was also part of developing.
Exactly.
You just can't grow in a losing culture and expect to make that next step in the NHL and translate your skill, your game into the NHL level. Ask Rasmus Delighted how that worked for him, because that guy's done nothing but lose.
Mm-hmm.
So that Chris Taylor thing didn't make any sense to me. But the scouting department, I 100% agree with. You had to clean house there. I just would have rather seen them try and fill those positions. They should have fired him last year, but try and get people in place that could at least started scouting, on behalf of Kevin Adams, because I can't imagine. I mean, maybe it was a decision they really made in the matter of a day. I don't know, but it's going to be Kevin Adams has an uphill battle, uphill battle to climb, or however you want to word it, in terms of this next draft and free agency, because he's got nothing to work with right now.
No, he doesn't. What's really interesting is that I've been reading a lot of rumors lately. Before we move on, I've been reading a lot about Taylor Hall. I've been reading a lot about Connor Hutton possibly either getting traded or going to the Rochester Americans, which I think at this point would probably be the best bet for everybody, because apparently he revealed about a week or two ago that he had eye problems throughout the season, and he didn't even consult a doctor about it, which is a pretty serious issue, because I remember when Kyle Posto had this issue, his daughter accidentally poked him in the eye when he was playing for the Islanders, and since then he had vision problems, and then he had that concussion issue, and that almost killed him, so on and so forth. So Connor Hutton could very well be in Rochester next year, or he can end up being traded. I mean, we don't really know. And the other thing,
I got a feeling Carter Hutton's your backup goalie next year.
Wait, what about Carter Hutton?
I got a feeling Carter Hutton's still going to be your backup goalie next year, and they're gonna try and give Olmark a fair shake at being the starter.
I doubt it. He sucks.
But he's only got 1 year left on his deal, and I just don't see them eating that contract.
Right. I mean, they're already paying for 3 GMs right
now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're paying for 3
GMs in the league. They're paying.
They're still paying Christian Ehrhoff. I think they're still paying Billy Loino. They're still paying Cody Hodgson. They're still paying all these players.
Right.
They're not going to eat that. They're going to ride. I got a feeling they'll ride out Carter Hutton one last year, or put him on waivers and hope he makes it, to Rochester. Nobody claims him. But I got a feeling he's your backup next season still.
Yeah, and plus you don't want to rush UPL's development either, or
no,
you don't want to move him up too quick, because
he just came off a double hip surgery, which is one of the hardest surgeries to come back from. So I don't see them forcing him into a situation he's not ready for yet. I got a feeling that he'll probably still play juniors for most of the next year, and they'll probably give him a chance in Rochester at some point, like they did this year.
Yeah, definitely excited to see what he can do though as he starts progressing, and as he gets more playing time. I mean, definitely
the Sabres got a lot of young youth at the position. They got Eric Portillo, who's getting ready to work with Steve Shields in Michigan. Another kid from the Swedish leagues. There's a lot of promise there. You do still have Johansson, the goalie that made his debut at the Sabres last year. He's still developing. There's a lot of promise at the position to look forward to. But I think they're going to give Olmark his fair shake next season. I mean, I hope they go get another guy outside of Hutton? Yeah, sure. but I don't want to overpay for him. I don't at all. And you still got to pay Olmark. He's an RFA.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to let him go. But anyway, you know what I really want to focus on tonight as far as like a news conversation is what the fuck is up with Jamal Adams?
Oh, man.
What is up with that guy? I mean, seriously, he's requesting a trade because the Jets have 2 full years left to pay him, and he wants all the money now, and then yet he requested like 7-8 teams to trade for him. Like, it's just nuts. I mean,
Good. Get him out of the AFC East. Get him
Yeah,
out.
shoot.
I don't care.
I care less. Get him out.
Get him out.
Do I blame him for wanting money now in a game where maybe your shelf life isn't,
Right, right.
I'll never, I'll never hold it against a guy for wanting to get paid. His career could end in one hit. Like
yeah.
We've seen it happen.
you can get knocked stupid like Antonio Brown did and just lose your career off of one hit, and that's really what happened. I'm a firm believer that Antonio Brown was never the same after the hit for perfect.
Right.
So I mean, I'll never hold it against a guy for wanting to get paid. Like I get it, especially in a game like that where it's one head-to-head hit, it can end your career, and you gotta set your family up, and set you and your family up for to be well off after your career, because most careers end at what, like 35 years old.
Yeah, I mean, you're only getting what, maybe
And
5, 6.
they're getting younger every year.
Yeah.
Not everybody goes into the media after that or has a career in sports or sports broadcasting or sports management. Not always like that for everybody. So Jamal Adams wants to get paid. I don't blame him, but I agree. Get him out of the AFC.
The Jets suck too. So I mean, why would he want to stay there? I mean,
Yeah.
True.
Go get money somewhere. Somebody will pay top dollar for him. Again, I agree.
I think I read somewhere earlier that the Chargers might be interested in him.
Wait, who?
The Chargers.
Oh,
I might have read it somewhere.
Yeah, I heard the Bucs were interested in him. I think here's my argument about Jamal Adams. There's 2 sides of each story, of course. You have to look at the gray in every story instead of just black and white. My first argument is this. The Jets have 2 full years to pay Jamal Adams. They have this year, and they have a 5th-year option to pay him. But here's my problem with Jamal Adams. A, he's entitling himself to be the best player in all the football. He wants to be the highest paid safety over guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick and Derwin James, etc. He wants to be $20 million per year within a long-term year deal. But on the other hand, he's been manipulating and pretty much saying, I want to be in New York, but I'm acting like a bitch about it. But if I go to another team, that team doesn't have to pay me until my contract is up, is basically what he's saying. And he only wants to make that $20 million with the New York Jets and nobody else. And that's just very weird in my mind, is why are you asking for $20 million for your one team that you played for, and yet you'll take less money to go to another team and stick to what you have? That makes no fucking sense.
Nope.
Well, again, the Jets are a dumpster fire. So,
Well,
I mean, I wouldn't want to play for him either, honestly, the way things are going and the moves they've made. Who do they just pay on the defensive? Yeah. They just paid C.J. Mosley all that money. And, again, I'll never hold it against them guys for wanting to get paid. And if you're going to hold yourself to market value for the way he's played, for guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick, for instance, look what was given up to trade for him. Look what Miami got, the return Miami got. That was insane. So yeah, that's, you hold yourself to that standard, to that player and that market. I mean, I don't blame him. Yeah, fuck it. Go get paid, bro.
Get out of the East. Get out of the East. Just like Tom Brady. Do you wish that you could have beaten Tom Brady? Nope. Over it. Move on. He's in Tampa Bay. I'll even root for him. I could care less. If we see him, we're in the Super Bowl. So I'm not holding any grudges. But we still got to beat Bill twice.
Because he wants
Exactly.
You still got to beat Bill Belichick twice.
Yeah,
People keep forgetting that Bill Belichick is still there just because Tom Brady.
He's the genius behind all of this.
Yeah. I just find it very interesting that Jamal Adams, in the middle of his prime, he hasn't even reached his prime yet, and I find that embarrassing. Like, I can understand if he's asking for money and he's been in the league for 5-6 years. This dude's only been in the NFL for 3 years, and he's already acting like a whining bitch. And something tells me, and I saw this coming even when he got drafted, was Jamal Adams didn't want to be a New York Jet, but he's just saying that because he has no other choice.
Would want to be a New York Jet. I mean, look at what they had with like Geno Smith and the dumpster fire they've had for like the last 5+ years.
Yeah, and again, you know what? If you know what you're worth and you want to get paid sooner rather than later, again, who was it for Seattle?
Russell Wilson.
No. Earl Thomas.
Mhm.
Earl Thomas. He got hurt. The guy put all his issues with the team aside and came back and played and didn't get paid. And what happened to him? Guy got fucking lit up, knee all mangled, and got carted off the field. And he flipped off the sideline. Like, it was just like, bro, like, this is why I didn't want to do this. I knew what I was worth. You didn't want to pay me. I did the right thing, and I came back and played and was a good teammate, and now I'm getting carted off the fucking field, and now my worth and what I'm valued is out, just fucking shot to hell. So that's why I say, man, go get your money. Go get your money, bro. Like, if you know that's what you're worth, go get it. Somebody will pay you.
Yeah. That's the thing, Bobby. He's good. So
he's good. It's not like
whiny bitch or not. He just wants his money because he's seeing maybe a gray area for him where he might. I mean, maybe this is his time to get that contract. Maybe he'll get one more after that. So they don't got many contracts. I know it's a lot of money, but he is good. So I agree, Duane.
Or look at how he ended up taking the deal to go to Oakland instead of, San Francisco instead of playing for Seattle. He went and got paid. He wanted them.
Right.
He knew he could get it.
You see players leave college and enter the NFL draft probably earlier than they should all the time for that reason alone, just because I don't know what's going to happen to me next year. My career could end next year. Here's my chance to enter the draft. Maybe my value will be higher. If I wait a year, but who knows what will happen to me next year, and maybe my career could end. So
taking that risk.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I have a cousin who plays for the Florida Gators, Dante Ling, tight end. He's now they're moving him to a defensive position. But if he balls out defensively this year and he has an opportunity to enter a draft, I'm gonna tell him to. Yeah, fucking do it, man.
Yeah,
like, don't wait another year. Take your chances. Like,
right.
That's just my opinion, man.
Players now, I mean, you're playing maybe like 1-2 seasons and then go to the draft because they know that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on borrowed time. I mean, you only have so many seasons you can collect in the NFL before your playing days are over.
Again, in a game where your career could end in one hit, man, I don't blame anybody for trying to get paid.
Yeah, Mike Utley, 1991, Detroit Lions, that one hit, and he ended up getting paralyzed, and that was the end of his career.
Look what happened.
Do we naturally think that we're going to see more 40-year-old quarterbacks really going forward? Is that just you know what I mean? I mean, it's crazy that, over 40. I mean, it's crazy there's quarterbacks like that. Is that going to be a regular thing, we think? Or, I mean,
Tom Brady is an enigma, man. I shouldn't say that. They literally did what you're supposed to do. They built around their quarterback through having always a solid offensive line and had a system where he got the ball out quick and he never had to get hit. Like, we can hate on New England all we want about, the way they win, the Flakegate, Spygate, everything. Put all that aside, man. You look at that system he played in, he got the ball out quick, and he was always well protected. And that's something the Bills haven't done for a long, long time. They haven't built around a quarterback, and they're finally starting to.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Right.
I used to say, people used to say Lossman was such a trash quarterback. Honestly, that guy had an unbelievable arm. If you would have gave that guy a legit offensive line and allowed him to develop, he might not have been a terrible quarterback. But every time the ball was snapped, J.P. Lawson used to run for his fucking life because he had guys like Mike Williams protecting him. That's all you need to know about that fucking team. That was one of the worst offensive lines in franchise history.
Yeah, that was a total train wreck to watch that line. And I mean, literally, the first game that Lossman was ever in, that he got that win, he actually was able to get the ball off and he didn't get crushed every single down. But I mean, after that,
It was terrible. I remember watching Lossman run from sideline to sideline, throw across his body downfield, and put the ball on a fucking string to Lee Evans. It was one of those incredible throws I've ever seen live. It was insane. And just like I remember saying, I was like, holy shit, man, we finally found a guy. We found a guy. But like we never gave him an offensive line. You never gave him real weapons. Like it was just like
around the QB.
We've never built around a quarterback. Ever.
Until now,
yes.
Yeah.
Look what Indy did with Andrew Luck. They drafted Andrew Luck and said, "Well, here you go, man. You're supposed to be this good. Like, do your thing." He gave him no offensive line. The guy got brutalized. He got brutalized.
It was
terrible.
Every single game.
Terrible.
It should be criminal the way what Indy did to him.
Yeah.
He was always
going to fire their GM.
Yeah, he was always on
unbelievable
sound effects. I mean, always getting the wind knocked out of him. Terrible.
Yeah, I'm surprised Luck lasted as long as he did with that team because I mean it's just they gave him no offensive protection whatsoever. And the time he was with the Colts,
I would have never signed that contract unless under the only way I would have ever signed that contract when he did is if you were promising me more protections. Because I will sign this deal is if this next up and coming draft, your first 2 picks are offensive linemen. Protect me. I'm sick and tired of literally going home and feeling like I just got hit by a truck.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was just downright wrong what they did with him because I mean, Luck had so much potential and he could have done. He had the talent to get to a Super Bowl and win the title. He easily could have done that.
He was the best quarterback to be drafted since Peyton Manning.
Yeah. And
100%. There's no debating that.
Manning too. I mean, he was getting crushed when he was in Indy half the time because they had no offensive line around him.
Nope.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the whole Jamal Adams thing? I mean, because there's been a whole list of teams that already been linked to Jamal Adams, but of all the teams, and I'm going to read you the list of teams that he may be welcoming in quote a trade to, because Sean said the Chargers. Some of the people said, the Texans. Some people said the Ravens, the Cowboys, etc. But the following teams that he requested a open welcome to are Dallas, Houston, Seattle, Baltimore, Kansas City, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and then the Chargers. But I'm curious, where do you guys think he ends up if he does end up getting traded? And what would it take to get him there?
I mean, if he goes to Baltimore, I mean, they'd have to give up. They'd have to work around salary cap and things like that. But I mean, to have the chance to play there, I mean they're building a good line over there. I mean, and especially, I mean, the best thing that Baltimore ever did was get rid of Flacco, and then they ended up rebuilding the offensive line. So I mean, I think he would be a pretty good fit there if they can make it work.
Or the Bucks. One more run.
Yeah, I was literally going to say that. I was literally going to say that. I was thinking that in my mind, but then I thought about maybe the Texans but I don't know, man. But I was definitely thinking about the Bucks.
Well, it's like every year it's like one more year for Brady. Let's do what we can to get him so that would make sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep, definitely.
Brady. I think Brady is going to get one more ring before his career is over with.
I mean,
I hope not.
I hope it's his last year.
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's his last year either. I think he's going to play at least 1 to 2 more years after this. And I hate to say it, man. You look at that offense he has to work with. That is honestly possibly the strongest offense he's ever had, at least since Moss.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty.
At least since Moss. You got Godwin, who is a number 1 wide receiver, in my opinion, on his own. You got Mike Evans. Gronk is back and took a year off and gave his body a full year's rest.
Right.
Probably back on the. I gotta imagine he's back on the steroids, by now. So I imagine he's fucking huge. But like that offense is gonna be something to be dealt with.
He just can't get hit a lot. They really just can't. He can't get hit because he's definitely slowing down. But if he doesn't get touched, I think it's likely.
How is that offensive line in Tampa?
I don't know. I just
it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Their running game hasn't been that great the last couple years. So that's why I asked.
Terrible. Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I know they made a lot of pickups. I don't know what it's going to translate to, but supposedly they're beefing it up. So we'll see. Actually, I'll root for him. I don't care. I mean, even if he plays 3 more years, like I said, he's out of the AFC East. He's best one of the best.
As long as he's not playing for the Bills, man, I'll root for him. And you know what?
Yeah.
You know, it's not very often in your lifetime you get to see like a guy have a career like he had.
Right.
You know, controversy aside, man, that team was a dynasty, and we got to witness it. So it sucks that a lot of those wins came against the Bills. I mean, it is what it is at this point. It's done, it's over with. But you know that, especially that game against Atlanta, that was something to watch. I'll tell you what. I remember, dude. I remember. I go to the same Super Bowl party every year, and I remember everybody at this party, you know, a house full of about 40 people, I'd say. They were all just writing off New England. Like, have you guys watched this team all the last decade? Like, you're going to write off Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? Are you guys nuts right now? No way. I was one of the only guys in that entire house that flat out said, like, I am not going to sit here and celebrate an Atlanta win right now because they're going into halftime and they're gonna make adjustments like we've seen them do against the Bills how many fucking times.
Yep.
And they're going to come out guns a-blazing. And what did they do? They came out guns a-blazing, and they won the Super Bowl.
I was the same. I was one of the only ones at the party. Everybody was like, well, they're finally going to lose. I remember it. They're finally going to lose. I go, there is way too much time. I mean, a little part of me was like, okay, cool. They're going to get whooped. But exactly. Like a game against the Bills, they came right back.
Yeah.
Right back.
Yeah, you remember that primetime game? You know, with was that the Toledo-McKelvin game?
Yeah, it was.
Was that the game against New England?
It was.
Like I was at the Buffalo Sports Garden during that, and again I was in a bar full of people celebrating way too early, and I was sitting at the table, and I'm like, have you guys not watched Bills football at all this last decade? You're celebrating right now? Are you guys fucking retarded? Don't use that word. Are you guys a bunch of idiots? Like, you're nuts. Like, this could end still very badly. It's still Bill Belichick. It's still Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Like, don't write them off. Like, you're nuts. You're nuts.
Absolutely. And I remember it too because I was at the Amherst Ale House and I was having some beers with one of my coworkers at the time. And same thing. We thought, hey, you know, game's going great. And then what happens? The comeback.
Yeah.
And that was how it went. Duane, I know you got to take off because I know you got another thing you got to jump onto. But for anyone that's seen you here for the first time, where can they find you on YouTube and SoundCloud?
You can find me on any social media platform, at least Instagram and Twitter, at DuaneS39, DuaneS39, at 2 goalies 1 mic, at the number 2 goalies number 1 mic, MIC. That's on all social media platforms. So we're getting ready. We just dropped the Marty Baron episode last week. Unfortunately, I'm dealing my co-host is dealing with a little bit of an illness right now, so we haven't dropped one this week. We do plan on dropping our reaction to this past week's news soon, and we do have another episode that we have to edit down still on tap for with Connor Knapp, former Sabres goalie. So we got that upcoming, you know, in the bullpen. So
yeah, awesome, great stuff. Well, and of course, you know, we're happy to be working with you now too. So you know, you're always welcome on here. Glad to have you on here, and you know, definitely a lot of fun with you tonight. So come on back. You're definitely welcome.
Absolutely.
Anytime. Great to see you.
Hope I didn't talk too much, guys.
No, you're good.
Good job.
You good, man. Take care.
Good job, man.
All right, you guys take
Have a
care.
good night,
Stay
man.
safe, all right?
All right. See you, man.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Bills.
Yeah. So it's very – Duane brought up a lot of good points throughout tonight's show. It really is. I mean, the Sabres are a dumpster fire. We already know about that. And the Bills, I think they're heading in that right direction. But I'm really curious, though, about the whole Jamal Adams situation. I mean, I know we briefly talked about it, but it was just such a, I don't even know how to describe it. It was such a wild week for sports. Like the Sabres purge, the Jamal Adams trade request the next day. I mean, shit just came on top of one thing over the next. I mean, it was just nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of players got COVID, I'm hearing. So I mean, I hope it doesn't get ugly because you're hearing more cases of that, and that can get ugly.
In fairness, all those cases are in Florida.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. But still, it's in the NFL. You know what I mean? You're contact with one team. But I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not liking what I'm hearing as far as players getting it. So.
Well, they'll survive. I mean, let's put it this way. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's basically the common flu, but it's on steroids.
Right, but the NFL is going to take the most precautions. So if there's even one case, I would think that they would think it's too much. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
It's getting too close. It's getting too close now,
Yeah, we're 3 months away from the season opener, and we're about a month away from, training camp and 2 months away from preseason. So time is starting to consume. So I understand where you're coming from as far as, that is concerned. But like I said, there's a lot to, call about as far as the season goes. But I'm very interested how everything plays out. The NHL has its own virus issues. 5 members of the Tampa Bay Lightning were, tested positive for COVID-19 the other day. Austin Matthews just yesterday was tested positive for COVID. And then a few members of the Toronto Maple Leafs were caught with it. And then one of the guys was Freddie Anderson, but he was tested negative. But he left the state of Arizona, and he was staying with Austin Matthews when all that happened.
Yeah, and right now Arizona is a hotbed for a lot of the new cases that are coming out. I mean, there's something like 1,800 new cases or something weird. So, I mean, it's up there. And my dad and stepmom live out there, and they're even telling me that a lot of it's down in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Tempe area where there's been a lot of problems with it. And, I mean, it's just, high population areas.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those states are basically hot states, like Arizona and Florida. That's where the most common things have been happening as far as that. I guess it's because it's summertime, people want to get together, but they forget that there's a fucking virus out there that's basically just invading everybody's lives.
Yeah, very true. And it's like no matter where you are, I mean, you still have to be careful with, taking all the precautions and all that. I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, got my first haircut in 3 months because, I mean, the place I go to finally reopened. And, and it was interesting when I got there. And I'll give a plug. I mean, Delmonte Hair System, Clarence, New York. My friend Cammie, who I've known for over 5 years, followed her to a couple different places. But I mean, literally, like compared to when I was able to walk in, go into a waiting room, and then get everything set, had to basically stand outside, wait till everything was ready, wear the mask in there. Had to keep the mask on during my haircut. I'm like, and we both agreed that this sucks. So, I mean, she had to wear the face shield and everything too. And I'm like, I mean, I felt so bad with her. I mean, I gave her a nice tip and everything. I mean, I love her. She's great with what she does. So, I mean, it's one of those. I mean, especially since I followed her to. This is her third place she's at, but it was funny. I actually met her at Supercuts over 5 years ago, right up here when I needed a cut in a pinch. And what happened is, I mean, she did a really nice job with it, and she's giving me a couple different looks, and I'm like, you know what? Hey, stick with her. So it's all good. So,
stick with her. There you go. Loyalty. Stick with her.
Exactly. And she's got the cost good too. So I mean, I don't have to spend all crap ton to get a good look. So.
Are you guys all taking care of yourself though? Everybody's good during this time, coming out of we're opening up. The country's opening back up. Let's start rolling. Everyone feeling good? Sean, you good?
Yo, I'm good, man.
Yeah,
I'm fantastic.
It's nice to finally go into places.
Yeah.
Are you good, Vinny?
You got scared by the
Dude,
sock.
you getting the Rona?
Yeah. What's up
lungs up,
with you? You and the sock, man. I'm like cracking up at the beginning. You got your own separate sideshow going on. I'm like, I'm dying and laughing while Duane's talking. You're killing me. I love it. Mr. Sock. Brought to you by Mr. Sock.
Are you trying to do the Socko gig that Mankind did when he was in the WWE?
What?
Oh,
you
man.
remind me of Mr. Socko, which was the gig that Mankind did, or Mick Foley did when he was in the WWE full time. That's exactly what he did.
Yep.
Yeah. And of course he had his finisher, the mandible claw, but he put the sock on and he shoved the thing down.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, it was very weird. But you know what? The only thing I regret as far as this sock puppet idea was there was no googly eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That
would have now if you put the eyes on there, that would have been exactly like Mr. Socko in the WWE.
Oh no, I'm missing two things. I was missing a pair of googly eyes, a Sharpie so I could draw a face, including a beard, and a little Buffalo Bills hat, and then I would have called him Little Ugly Vinny.
That sock is the official mascot of Smart Food Popcorn.
Right. Hey, Bobby, you need some of that beard oil again to grow your nuts a little bit?
No, it's okay. I call it the African bush.
What?
Bobby's one of the. He's one of a kind. He's one of a kind.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and I love how Sean is just like, This is very intriguing. I have my asshole friend over there with a sock in his hand. Got another one talking about scouting department, and Vinny is just standing there like that. And then
One of a kind. One of a kind. I love it.
I'm just gonna call him little ugly Vinny. Hey, little ugly Vinny, what are you doing today? I'm doing great. I'm on a show tonight. I forgot my hat, but I don't have any eyes.
You can't see it though because of the screen. I wish I could see that. It's just like a blob, you know.
Yeah, I know.
I can see the hole that you put your finger through.
And every time you were chewing that popcorn, you were. What the heck are you doing, man?
Yeah. I know the white cheddar popcorn's good. I've had that plenty.
It's like, man, he loved it. He was all over it.
Oh, man.
No, but I'm glad everybody's safe, healthy, feeling good. I mean, it just feels good to get back up and rolling. So I'm glad that we're doing it.
It really does. Nice to see a lot of places back online finally too. I mean, once a lot of places opened up around here back on Tuesday, I'll tell you, two of the places I hit up right up front because I love different places to eat out. I hit up one of my favorite authentic Chinese places out in Tonawanda where I can get the real stuff.
What's it called?
It's called Peking Quick One. They have two menus. One is of course the standard Chinese menu. Then they have the one that's called the home style. The home style is the true northern Chinese stuff that you don't find anywhere else. So I tell you, picked up that Northeast wonton soup, the spicy double cooked pork, brought home some orange beef, had some dinner for a couple days, and I missed it so much.
I'll tell you what, Tom, your Bayou recommendation, we actually got it today for lunch. We got it a couple days before that, and that's authentic right there.
I hit that up. I hit that up on Friday. Actually, I had a late lunch, and I just that's
so
good.
That coleslaw, we got the coconut shrimp. Sean, they got a shrimp po' boy. It's delicious. Oh, it was what a recommendation. Now I'm pumped to try the quarter.
Oh yeah, that's the place I want to go back to. Because
wait. I forgot something. Wait,
that's the quarter.
Great. He's got a partner now. Oh, what is this?
Oh, sorry, Tom. Here, the commercial break from Buffalo Bobby over here. This is the commercial break.
Right. But Vinny, I will tell you, if you ever get a chance when you go to Bayou, try the blackened chicken and shrimp dinner that they got for like $18.
Okay.
That stuff's good.
I almost got that today, but it was lunchtime, so I skipped it. And there's like a queso corn and bean dip.
That gumbo.
What is that? That's gold. That's gold.
I know, but I'll tell you that gumbo that they got, like the true Cajun
This guy.
Tom, I actually got the gumbo. That's what I got.
That stuff is good.
We do the fried pickles too. We kind of do a little smorgasbord.
Yeah, from everything. It's all good. Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm here with little ugly Vinny.
What?
Look, he's got a
I can see that. I can actually see that, though. I can actually see it.
Dude, you are so red right now.
For real, man.
Hey, Bobby, you look like what I did when I had the drunken noodles one night in our group conversation. On my face was like beet red.
Oh, you mean from when I was in Buffalo?
No, this is when we were on our group conversation on Zoom like a few weeks ago. Remember when I came on? It was late and. Well, it was not our actual show, but when all of us were talking, and it was like, and I remember I was like chowing down during it because I had the late dinner. My face was beet red because I had the Thai hot noodles.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot you were too busy jerking off before you got on here. That's why your face was so red.
No, it's because Thai hot, dude. That'll trust me. It did not feel good coming out either.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, but I got the jambalaya, and that I had a couple bites of that. But my wife gave me half of her shrimp po' boy, so and I had coconut shrimp and the fried pickles. But that's a great recommendation. The quarter is just as authentic. The
quarter is really, really good too. I mean, I've been there before. They do.
What do you get there?
They have a Cajun dry rub wing that is really, really good. Good flavor.
Ooh.
The other thing I will tell you too, they have that mac and cheese, you can't beat that. It's like brie-baked mac and cheese. They throw oh, that stuff is good.
Sean, can you keep an eye on Bobby? He's losing it.
I tried. He's just out there right now.
I'm trying to listen to Tom, and I'm distracted. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Are we sure Bobby doesn't have someone underneath the desk doing a little something to him right now?
Oh,
No, it's funny because I'm looking at Sean, and I see Sean laugh, and I feel good. I'm not alone.
That's right.
That's
No, I think Bobby's getting a little bit of enjoyment underneath this desk.
Oh, he's running.
for real.
I think his girlfriend's under there.
Yeah,
a little something extra. Go with that cheddar
No.
popcorn.
No, but I'm definitely. So we go to Tapo a lot. You go to Tapo in Buffalo?
That place is good.
Yeah.
I've heard before. Yeah,
Like Tapo.
Austria. Yeah, Austria 166 is another great spot too.
I've been there too. They got a solid.
Nick and Kent are good guys. Yeah.
Man, you got to show me these places when I come out there for a visit again.
absolutely.
Hopefully.
Yeah, Tapo
For sure.
Austria. It's laid back Italian pub. Really, really nice.
And even if you stay only a couple days or whatever, we'll do lunch and dinner. We'll make sure we get them all in.
Oh yeah,
You know?
oh yeah, definitely.
There's a couple-
Imperial Pizza even. Where I mean,
There's a couple.
wings. I know you got Poplar right down the street from you.
Yeah, did you ever go to Campfire Grill on Walden?
I've never been there. I've heard of it.
Campfire Grill is good. They were actually on the Food Network, and they got a stack of cinnamon roll pancakes. And when these things come out, they're like crusted in the sugar cane, and then they just pour ice. That place will go for breakfast, and then we'll do the other ones. We'll hit it up. We'll live large for a couple days. You know?
Yeah,
but that's a must. I mean, the rest of their stuff's okay, but their cinnamon roll pancakes, and they got these other desserts that were on the network that are good. So.
Oh, and I have a quick sponsorship of in the middle of our little conversation. Oh, and it's actually, by the way, it's from Little Ugly Vinny. He's like, Vinny, what's the product you have tonight? Dr. Squatch shampoo.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, you know what? You just got me thinking. Now that you mentioned the Campfire, you got me thinking of a place in Black Rock that I really like for breakfast, and it's a Greek place. It's called Nick's Place. It's on Amherst Street, right by Wegmans. And
Never been there.
They're only open for breakfast, but I'll tell you, it's like one of those things. It's like one of those dive places. Like when you walk in, you see the griddle, like the hot griddle and everything, right up front. Take your seat in the back. And then I will tell you, it's one of the cheapest breakfasts I've ever got. But man, they bring out so much, and it's good. And especially made hot sauce that they're on.
Hey, can you do me a favor? Do the same thing. Send me that info like you did last time, because I'll go.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, ugly little Vinny.
Fun to me. What?
You're great, man. You're great.
How long
we been going? How long we been going?
Over an hour.
That's it.
Somewhere like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we had our first hour with Duane.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I'm probably going to head out, though. I'm going to probably get out of here. Dick's place. Okay, cool.
Hey.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. So I know you got to take off, too. Where can we find you all on YouTube and everywhere?
Just my name, Vinny Torcasio for YouTube. You could. I've been laying low on the Anchor podcast, Hometown Guy. Did a little 7-episode run, but I'm gonna get more into it come football season. You can check me out there, and that's pretty much it.
All right, awesome. Well, of course, Vinny, thanks for jumping on again, of course, and we will see you next week on Saturday.
All right, guys. Buffalo Bobby, Sean, take it easy. See you, Tom.
you too, Vinny.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Let me say goodbye.
Did you piss them off again?
It's right here.
Oh, man.
Ah.
Wow.
Jinx.
Right. So I was gonna say, Sean, I know there's a little bit of WWE stuff going on too, but if you want to fill us in on that, I know a little bit of a couple things going on.
Well, Matt Riddle made his SmackDown debut last night, beating AJ Styles, who actually just became the new Intercontinental Champion from last week. And Apparently, the Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman feud is starting up again. I have no idea why. Um, what else? Oh, on Raw, Dominic got a little bit of revenge on Seth Rollins, beating the crap out of him until Theory and Murphy came out and all that stuff. And I think that's about it. I mean, oh, and lastly, divorced Lana.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, Strowman and Wyatt. Why are they having that feud again?
I don't know.
It makes no sense.
You know what doesn't make sense? My jokes.
No shit, Sherlock.
Thanks, Watson. You fucking.
Yeah.
At least I made you laugh, okay? At least I can make people laugh.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with that the whole thing with like what you said with like Raw and everything, a lot of that the storylines and the feuds right now make no sense whatsoever.
No.
And SmackDown's a little bit better. I still don't like the fact that they got rid of Paul Heyman because I mean he can really do some great creative things, but I think it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, McMahon's not gonna let him do it. He's basically stuck in running it like mid-1980s WWE and not doing the edgier stuff that was getting the casual and the regular fans going. It's just a lot of the same stuff being rehashed again.
Well,
yeah. Yep.
Sounds about right. I mean, Dr. Sean surely knows a thing or two about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, but speaking of wrestling, AEW is really they're definitely doing things that I like, and shoot, they got like Fighter Fest coming up soon, but a match they got for this coming Dynamite that I'm looking forward to is Wardlow versus Luchasaurus, and I want to see how that turns out.
Should be a pretty good match. I mean, and AEW's actually been putting together some pretty good things as of late. I mean,
Yeah.
Definitely more watchable than a lot of the WWE and the NXT stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's saying something.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming along. I mean, and plus AEW, I mean, with the fact that they've been picking up some good people off of the roster with WWE that's been either let go or out of or basically letting their contract go. I mean, they're definitely building a pretty good roster to go with for a long term, and they have a better creative side as well. And if they can just really get the most out of both sides, I mean, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm just at a point where I would just rather watch AEW more than WWE right now because of the direction AEW is going these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel the same way on that. I mean, I did watch some of SmackDown on Friday, and I figured, give it a shot, see what it is, and it's just it's all the same to me. I mean, it's just not watchable.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I have real no say in it because I am not a wrestling fan, of course. I've said that numerous times. But people have their own ways of getting themselves entertained. But you know what? In the end of the day, that's what people like. People like to watch other fucking dudes beating the shit out of each other in their main undies, mainly their tidy whities.
Right. Well, there is women's wrestling too, They have the women's division.
Is there a wrestler named Tommy Whitey's over there?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm looking at him. Tommy Whitey's.
Screw you. But now that I actually have now I'm actually down to a goatee instead of the full beard and actually got rid of 95% of my hair. I mean, come on.
Shave your head. Shave your head. Shave your head.
So.
I've done it before. It's fun.
It's all good. Yeah, it's nice. A lot of stuff's open full hours now too. I mean, even with the whole virus thing going on, it's nice. Like the major supermarkets around here, Wegmans, Tops, they're finally back open to where at least you can go till midnight now instead of when they were only open to 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So at least a lot of stuff's getting back to normal, and then you can finally go in restaurants again. You can go inside at Tim Hortons again instead of having to just be limited to drive-through. And
not over here. I mean, in Long Island they have outdoor restaurants, sure, but you can't sit down in the restaurants.
Yeah, Buffalo, you can now. They went to phase 3 back on Tuesday, and it looks like phase 4 within about 2 weeks.
Mm.
I mean,
So,
yeah.
The phase 3 starts in Long Island on Wednesday.
yeah, so phase 3 in Long Island means that you can go inside restaurants, but they'll space the tables out, and you can have the mask off when you're actually seated at the table, but if you get up from your table to go like to the bathroom or anything else or leave, you have to wear the mask.
Yeah, I think down here in Georgia, there's still like for in the restaurants, like drive-through, like fast food joints, they're still doing drive-throughs only. And they're actually bringing in, but they're doing either drive-throughs or take
Or just,
like what was it to go orders and stuff like that. Because I yesterday I went to Panda Express, and I mean like the last several times I went there, um they had like a table in front of the front door, where no customers can take their orders. But now we can actually go inside, but we still can't sit down on that stuff. And
right.
they will not service you unless you have a mask on. So, they're really strict about that.
Yeah, a lot of places here in New York are also, and here's the interesting thing about New York. The executive order where people had to wear masks everywhere expired back on June 7th. So technically, you don't have to wear a mask inside business. But at the same time, what happened is that Governor Cuomo decided to basically allow businesses to kick out people that are not wearing a mask. So basically, you're still forced to wear a mask even though you legally don't have to.
He's a dick. I hate that guy, Jared.
I don't want to get into politics again. We've done that enough.
Let's not go down that road
We've already
again.
done that enough the last few weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna make another sock puppet. This is Thomas. And he's got an elephant trunk.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh,
Just wait till you see my rebuilt Jeep, Bobby. Once I get done with all the upgrades I'm doing to it.
Well, you know what? My Jeep is down here, and I get bitches with it.
Yeah, but I've been getting mine longer.
Oh.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you because
Yours longer.
See, I'm a sexy beast.
Yeah, until your girlfriend throws you out.
Well, I'm gonna try something here to see if I can pull it off.
Oh man.
Here we go. Fuck! It broke on me.
Good job.
There you go. I did it.
Yeah.
I don't go in the middle of the dentist when you go into your house and you're like, woo! Like,
oh man.
Yeah, that reminds me, I have to go for my 6-month cleaning on Monday, so.
I need my own playlist of stuff I've done on the show that make people laugh.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I need my own playlist when this is all said and done. There's no excuse for that.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, today was actually, one of the things I was doing for part of the day, besides just some stuff outside, I was actually doing some more upgrading on the Jeep and got some more stuff out of the way. So, I mean, car's been great. I mean, got the Grand Cherokee. I mean, Bobby, you've actually ridden in it. And it's a little different from when you were up here, but I mean, I was able to pick up my new stereo system, which is going to be coming in sometime in about a week. So it'll be nice to finally have like the touchscreen, everything on the dash, and then let's see, chrome the front now. So I mean, now it's like chrome grille, chrome fog lights instead of like everything blacked out. So that part's looking nicer, and it's gonna do new suspension system on it. Just keep everything in good running order. I mean, new brakes I've got on there, new tires. I mean, definitely done a lot of work with it over the last year and a half, but just doing everything little by little, and also doing an LED light conversion too. So I mean, less current on the electrical, keep everything in good shape.
Newsflash.
So definitely it's coming out good though. It's looking good.
Well, guess what? I am more fabulous than anybody.
You drive a Highlander.
Okay.
That's a femme car. Yeah, I had to throw that at you, man. No, actually, it is a good SUV, but that was like the first thing I thought about it. You know, I had to throw that at you just for laughs.
That's a lot. That's a lot coming from somebody who had a convertible before trading in that for that Jeep.
Right. Although I will say I did unfortunately have the enjoyment of driving a Ford Escape for 3 years before I traded it because the thing was garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Shut the fuck up. At least mine was a newer model.
Mine was an 09 that I traded after 3 years.
Yeah, mine's a 2014. So don't try to one up me on this.
It's all right, but I got even though I've got a 12, my 4-wheel drive will definitely do laps around the island during snow.
I dare you to do that when you make laps. I do that. Like I dare you to do that, but do it with driving around naked.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
Though I do have an updated HVAC system in my truck now, so.
You could go around Buffalo and be like, "Come on, guys, I'm in my new truck." Yeah. What the fuck is that thing in his legs? Oh, I don't know. It's a little weird.
Oh, God.
Did he put enough testosterone in it?
Oh, although me and the woman did do a back seat once in that truck, so.
Wait. Jazz! Help me!
Oh.
No, Jazz is his girlfriend. Come on, you know I'm fucking with you. You know.
I know. Yeah, but no, it's actually turning out to be a good project truck, though. So, I mean, you know, it's definitely working out well, and, you know, it'll keep it running for a while. So, you know, it's in great shape. I mean, no complaints on it. It's got about a little over 121,000 miles on it now.
Yeah, that certainly works. By the time you're 50, maybe it'll last up to.
Nah. I mean, I figure if I can get, let's see. Well, I mean, the engine's designed, like, from what I've heard, it can run upwards of, like, up to, like, 320,000 miles on it. So, I mean, I figure, you know, keep it at least a few more years, you know, keep it in good shape. I mean, really, besides that, I mean, I still have to put new back brakes on it. I mean, I did the front recently, but figure that, update the shocks, you know, just a couple other minor upgrades, and it'll be fine. So.
It'll survive.
Yeah, nice, turned into a nice little project SUV. But, you know, it's one of those things. I mean, you know, got to have it to make money. So.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, we all got to have a good car to make money. So.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I don't know. Anyone got anything or any other words, or you want to wrap up, or what do you want to do?
Well, I got nothing else to say other than I have 2 back-to-back interviews coming up this week.
Mm-hmm.
I have one on Monday night with New York Guardians linebacker Ryan Mueller, and then on Tuesday I have an interview with Sabres enforcer, fan favorite, and legend Rob Ray.
I'm gonna love watching that one. I really want to see that one. And it's one of those, I've met Rob Ray before, a great guy, and actually he has Razors down in Eden, New York, his little restaurant down there, ice cream shop, and, you know, definitely, actually I'm thinking of maybe I'll take a ride out there tomorrow, who knows.
You never even fuck with that, so you can't say shit.
But here's a little homework for you, Bobby. Try to get him on this show at some point. Have him come on a Saturday with us.
I don't think he wants to hang out with a bunch of flunkies.
I'm sure he would.
I don't know about that. I mean, we have a guy in Bill's gear, and he's just like, so I play video games. We have a guy over there with a beard, and we have a guy who just bitched and moaned about the Sabres for an hour, and we have an Italian who wears the same fucking hat in every show.
And you got the same damn fake gold chain at every show. What's the point?
Right?
Arby's, we have the meat.
Oh, man. That's a fun thing, though. You know, we can bust each other up like that. It's all good. It's all
yeah.
So, oh, man. Hey, man, you got anything you want to throw in before we take off, or?
No, not really. I'm pretty much good right now.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, and definitely, you know, I mean, it's been an interesting week with Sabres, so, I mean, you know, keep it to all our channels, and We'll tell you what's going on. I mean, for those who didn't see earlier this week, I mean, had the big rant that came out, gave my viewpoint on everything. And it was funny, actually. My dad texted me afterwards when I used the redheaded stepchild reference. And she said, first thing he said, your stepmom laughed at that when you mentioned that. I'm like, oh, I was so open to that.
Yeah, what do you call it? And I was going to ask Sean this question, and I forgot to ask him throughout the show. You're wearing a Sam Adams jersey, right?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any Samuel Adams beer in your refrigerator?
I wish I did.
You dumb motherfucker!
It didn't come to mind.
Of course it didn't!
Give me an idea, Sam. The Sam Adams, the summer lager. I wouldn't mind picking up some of that. I haven't had that in a while.
We can't get that fat man on the show. There's more than one Sam Adams. Jesus Christ! Love to get I would love to get like a Bills legend or a wrestler on our next show.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Absolutely, I think so too.
Yeah.
I would totally engage into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So before we take off, where can we find you, Bob?
You can find me on SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, all under the name Buffalo Bobcast. And like I said earlier on the show, or just now, whatever fucking date this comes out, I have an interview on Monday night with my Guardians linebacker Ryan Mueller, and of course on Tuesday I have an interview with legend Rob Ray. So that's going to be a fun interview. I can't wait to do those.
Awesome. Sean, where can we find you on YouTube?
You can find me on YouTube. Search Big Fresh Matt. I got a channel where I do bills and gaming, and you can follow me on Twitter, under the same name @BigFreshMatt. So that's it.
And then can the kids, when they go into your channel, can you also teach them the alphabet?
Oh, I'm sure I can teach them a little something.
E-I-G-F. What the fuck? Why is it so
And of course, anyone who wants to check me out, go to Tom Wojak Show on YouTube and SoundCloud. Also, we do have the Twitter at Horns and Hooves ENT. That's Horns, the letter N, Hooves ENT. And then, of course, we've got the Facebook page, Horns and Hooves Entertainment, also. And then coming soon, we're actually going to have a website. We actually bought our new web address today, so we're going to let you guys know another way you can see us in the coming weeks. What do you got down there?
I got fucking spoons and I got miso soup.
You spooning yourself again?
What?
You spooning yourself again? You're pouring that miso soup up your ass again? That little sensitive ass of yours?
Miso soup with 2 spoons. That's what the fucking delivery guy from DoorDash gave me.
Although I will say I do like miso soup, though. I mean, especially when I have it with sushi.
Good. I was gonna do this during the show, but I'm just like, I was trying to do it when Duane was talking, but he just wouldn't shut the fuck up for a little while. Duane's a good guy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, definitely want to say, Duane Snell, who joined us, definitely thanks for being with us as well, too. Great to have you on board with us, and and definitely check out his show, Two Goalies, One Mic, on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff.
Jingle bells, Big Fresh Matt's bells, time late.
All right. Until next time, guys, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next weekend.
Bye.
Take care.